I totally want to do the teacher thing right now and say, everyone come to the front row. Move up to the front row. But I know that's not gonna work. So we're just gonna have a conversation here with everyone kind of spread across the tables and the chairs. It's fun to be at the end because hopefully you remember the last thing you heard. I have the pleasure today to have a conversation with you. I hope we can dialogue, even though we're not talking, that you're thinking in your mind, because what we're gonna talk about today is how important it is to talk, to converse, to have dialogue, to have discussion, and importantly, what does a world look like where AI can lead to more human interaction and more conversation? So kind of keep that in your mind as we're thinking about what can we do with AI in classrooms that could potentially lead to much more human interaction and human conversation. That's what we're talking about today. If we do that right, we believe that AI has a really powerful place in the classroom, but it has to be the right kind of AI. Who am I to be up here talking about the right kind of AI? So we want to start really quickly to tell you why we're here, right? When you talk to anybody in any conversation, there's some level of, why should I listen to you? Do you have credibility? Is there something that you have experienced that can help me learn something? The team that founded Merlin Mind was the former IBM research team that had been working on bringing the Watson platform to education for about a decade. In the 2010s, they tried to build an AI tutor. Does that sound familiar to anybody today? Building an AI tutor, everybody's talking about AI tutors now. This team on the top, Dr. Satya Nitya and his team, had spent years and significant investment in building an AI tutor. At the end of that, they came to this conclusion 6, 7 years ago, that there is something so human about the interaction between teachers and students, the empathy, the motivation, the shared social understanding of what's happening in the world around you, how to connect learning things, moments, examples, to something that's relevant to that student based on the community they're in. All of that was really, really hard for AI tutors to do. And they concluded that it's going to be a very, very long time before AI gets really good at that human interaction, human experience component that is so critical to the human learning experience. So they left IBM to start a company called Merlin Mind, and the vision was, we can do really amazing things with AI to simplify how humans and computers interact. That the new mechanism by which we'll interact with technology will be voice, natural language. We will think and talk and computers will react to us. This was years before ChatGPT and large language models were a even dream. That idea, the underlying technology was being worked on, but that language didn't exist yet. They then brought folks together who'd spent their careers in education to say, how do we now bring these AI technologies into classrooms in a way that's private, safe, secure, effective, to help teachers more effectively use the technology they have so they can be more present, more engaged, and have better conversations and dialogues with their students. So that's why we're here. That's why I'm talking to you. I joined this group 5 years ago after spending 5 years helping to lead one of the largest tutoring platforms in the world. It was called Wyzant, had 80,000 tutors in the US that worked with students one-on-one. So I had seen the power of what happens when a tutor works with a student one-on-one over time to help overcome learning obstacles. And I realized when Dr. Satya Nitya actually found me at this conference 5 years ago. So first, who has enjoyed their time at the air show? Woo! Yeah, props to the whole ASU+GSV team. So I've been going to the show across the street for almost a decade. And they said they were starting a new show that was gonna bring educators and administrators together. And I wasn't sure they were gonna be able to bring amazing people from all of these other schools into this room, but it totally happened. We've had fantastic conversations with very thoughtful administrators and educators here at this show. So I'm very grateful for the ASU+GSV team for bringing us all together. We then have been working on, for the last almost 7 years at Merlin Mind, I've been here for 5, actually 6 and a bit years, a AI assistant for the classroom. That sounds like something everybody's doing now, but we had a very unique approach to this, which was, if voice is the new interaction mechanism, if just like we learned to touch technology, we are gonna learn to talk to technology, how do you make that work in a classroom where privacy, safety, and security matter, where unique devices are being used, interactive panels and Chromebooks and other laptops, where specific applications that have been built for classrooms are being used? How can you make AI integrate and interact with all those things very naturally? So we've been working on this, and what it ends up being is this voice assistant for the classroom, where you can just talk and control the tech without ever having to go back to your laptop, without ever having to go touch the keys or think and turn your back on the students about what do I need to do on this device. You just talk and it happens. It ends up creating a lot of free time and engaging opportunities for teachers and students to interact in the classroom. You can come check it out with us over here after if it's interesting, but what I want to pause and step back from is like, now you know why I'm up here, right? Spend the first few minutes laying the foundation for why we're here. We've been building this platform for a long time, but we have a very unique lens on what AI could do if you use it right in the classroom. So I want to first step to an expert who can help us think about the importance of talking, conversation.
For millions of years, mankind lived just like the animals, and something happened which unleashed the power of our imagination. We learned to talk. We learned to listen. Speech has allowed the communication of ideas, enabling human beings to work together, to build the impossible. Mankind's greatest achievements have come about by talking, and its greatest failures by not talking. It doesn't have to be like this. Our greatest hopes could become reality in the future. With the technology at our disposal, the possibilities are unbounded. All we need to do is make sure we keep talking.
Dr. Stephen Hawking is a very powerful carrier of that message because he struggled to talk at the end of his life due to illness, and technology helped him communicate. But he left us this message saying, man, our species has gotten a lot better by talking to each other, right? When we talk to each other, we come up with ideas, we solve problems, we evolve what's possible with our experience on this planet. Sometimes we don't talk very well, and things don't go as well. Whether that's war or misunderstanding, talking ends up being the lifeblood of our species and our progress. Communicating, effectively working together on problem solving. So the question is, are we doing enough of this? We need to keep talking. Do we talk enough? Do we communicate enough? Turns out, we're kind of headed in a dangerous direction on this front. Data from the last few decades shows, top left, social isolation is spiking. This was before COVID-19, but you see like then, during COVID, you get even more like people spending less time with others and all by themselves. Middle top, household social engagement inside the home decreasing. Household social engagement outside the home, like going out and doing things together as a family, decreasing. Engaging with your friends, decreasing. Engaging in social activities with other people that weren't your friends, decreasing. Engaging in social activities with your companions, decreasing. Right? Over the last 2 decades, we're spending a lot less time talking to each other, communicating with each other. Any ideas on why that could be? What else has happened in the last 2 decades? Who's got a phone in their hand every second of every day? Right? Like we are literally, every moment we could be talking to another human, we're looking at a device. The advancement of touch technology and computing in our pockets unlocked insane opportunities for us to navigate the world in new ways, to experience new things. But it also had trade-offs. The same thing happens every time computing advances and the interface changes. There's incredible new opportunities and there's trade-offs. So as we think about the trade-offs now, we've got to realize the amazing things that just happened with some of the advancements in AI and some of those trade-offs and how we navigate that. Whenever we're in classrooms and we're talking to educators, administrators, and people on the ground, many people don't actually know about what this whole AI thing is. We like to assume that everybody is totally up to speed on what a large language model is, what transformers are, what a 70 billion parameter, 120 billion parameter, 7 billion parameter, what all these different models are and model sizes, what they can do. We don't all understand that. Most of us don't care. So what has happened? When we talk to teachers and we explain this in classrooms, one of the ways that our founder taught me to understand it was basically AI just learned to speak our language. For the last 50 years, we had to learn to speak the language of computers. We had to learn to write code. Or if you go back to Alan Turing, if you watch that movie, The Imitation Game, great representation of the Nazi code had to break using AI. They had to unplug and plug in all these cables to make a computer do calculations, right? We were forced to learn how to speak languages of computers again and again and again. Large language models just unlocked the future because it taught computers to speak our language, which means we can think, talk, communicate, and then expect computers to understand what we want to happen and do those things. It doesn't mean that they're intelligent, but they can do things for us because they understand our language. That's amazing, right? But again, trade-offs. Every time there's an advancement, there's a trade-off. But before we talk about trade-offs, let's talk about ice cream. Who likes ice cream? Come on, who likes ice cream? Yeah. Okay, so this is a bunch of pictures of me and my wife and our 3 little boys eating ice cream like everywhere you can imagine. Everywhere we go, we love ice cream. I feel like ice cream is the best, right? Does anyone not believe me? This is real, this is me, I love ice cream, okay? Let's watch a quick little clip of AI and me about ice cream.
Folks, I've got a confession. Ice cream, it's not as innocent as it seems. Think about it. Loads of sugar, a calorie bomb waiting to explode our diets, that guilty feeling after indulging. It's your body saying, what have you done? And let's not forget the impact on our world. The dairy industry's carbon footprint is a big deal. Sure, it's a comfort food, but maybe it's time to think again. There are better, more sustainable options out there. Next time you want that scoop, think about the sugar, the calories, the impact. Is it worth it? I'm opting for alternatives that won't leave me regretting every bite.
Would I ever say that? In a million years, I would never say that about ice cream. I love ice cream, right? You know this is AI generated. Most of you in this room have seen clips of that. Not everybody has seen that though. So when you show this, I created that in a handful of minutes with a selfie of me, with a voice clip of me from a podcast. I had it auto-generate my voice. I created a script in ChatGPT. It dynamically made that picture of me move, right? So instantly, this idea that we're gonna talk and learn from each other, there's trade-offs. We don't even know if we can trust what somebody else said in a recorded video anymore. The world is changing, right? We need responsible AI built for classrooms that allows us to get the power of this new technology that speaks our language with the understanding that we're not trading off our ability to trust each other, talk to each other, communicate with each other. So at Merlin Mind, we have a dedicated responsible AI team led by our former chief product officer, who was one of the heads of products from the Alexa team at Amazon, who leads our responsible AI effort to build our own large language models, right? So at Merlin Mind, we realized there's a lot of power in ChatGPT-like capability, but we didn't think that it was built for classrooms. We thought you needed a smaller, focused model that only has educational content in it. And so we built our own large language models. We built appropriateness models. We built safety models, built security models, because we knew that ChatGPT-like abilities are fantastic. But in classrooms, we might need something that's more purpose-built and specific. So as we now look at these technologies, we think about, okay, what was really built for the classroom? How do you use it in the classroom? And really importantly, what is it going to do in the classroom? So you've got to first start with, was it built correctly? How do you use it? What are you trying to achieve with it? Does it align with the pedagogical approach your school district has? Is it easy to use? How many people are worried that we're going to put a bunch of tools in teachers' hands that just make it even harder for them? Anybody worried about that? Have you talked to any teachers? Some people are actually worried that well, this is just one more thing for me now. I don't necessarily get paid more. I don't have more time to do it. Yes, it's supposed to save me time, but is it really going to make my life easier? And then finally, and the fantastic speaker before me talked a lot about this, Ken, is it private? Is it safe? Is it legal? Is it compliant? It's really hard to do that in education. We've spent 6 years building a foundational AI platform, voice architecture, assistant for the classroom, LLMs, and it took an incredible amount of time to make sure it was compliant with state standards. It was compliant with COPPA. It was compliant with FERPA. It met the data and cybersecurity regulatory practices of all the different states, and that you could get through really hard processes like the New York Department of Education's process to be able to sell them something. These are not easy hurdles to jump through. That's what we did to come up with a solution that was really useful in classrooms. Then it was okay, well, what about voice? If voice is so important as a mechanism, people are really scared about sharing voice. So we realized, well, we need a solution that's very different from Alexa and Google Assistant. It can't keep voice data. It can't use voice data for training models. It can't use any of that to identify individuals. We had to build a completely different approach that said, this is unique to education, so it works there. But all of that to say, we want to accomplish the thing we think has always been useful in education, which is from the beginning of time and educational conversations, from Socrates to today. One thing we know has always worked, and one thing we believe will always work, is a wonderful teacher guiding a dialogue with students to discover and learn and explore together. In these classrooms, we have, you could call it precious time, sacred time, special time. It is the most unique moment in a human's life, where for 18-ish years, 15 whatever years, they get dedicated time to sit down in a safe space with other humans and explore, talk, discuss, ask questions, get feedback, and go through this dialogue process that's preparing them to then communicate effectively with the rest of our species for the rest of their existence, so that hopefully they can have impact on society and make the world better. We want AI in classrooms that makes more of that happen. We took a very different approach that said, if we can simplify how teachers use the technology in the room, how they get the best out of the platforms and devices that have already been invested in and put in those rooms, and now make it so natural that they can just talk to it, they never have to turn around and touch tech or break the flow of the class to try to use the technology, but they're just speaking and it's happening. What then can happen with all of that engaged time, with those teachers that are present? We now have Merlin, this assistant, in thousands of classrooms and hundreds of districts across the United States, where teachers are controlling their technology with their voice and using AI to engage students in a very different way, which is basically, let me keep running class the way I want to run it, the best way I have been running it, but much more simply, much more naturally. I wanted to do a demo of it live up here. I was like, guys, you got to show this live. And they said, no, you can't do live demos on this stage. It's too dangerous. So I'm going to show you a quick 2-minute video of me in a school actually using Merlin and doing a demo with one of my colleagues here. And then after, our booth is right behind. I'll go over to the booth, so if anybody wants to come and learn more, but we'll be happy to walk you through what happens when you bring the power of dedicated AI built specifically for the classroom and voice as an action mechanism into the room. So here's a quick example of what it looks like. In the day of a life of a teacher, imagine this, things that teachers have to do. I got to start class. I need to check information. I need to set timers. I need to control the content I have. I need to go around the room and engage with students. I need to respond to questions. I need to reward students for asking questions. And then I need to take multiple steps. I need to send this to student devices. Let's have AI help us with that stuff.
Merlin, search Google Earth for Four Corners Monument. We are now living in an AI world, and teaching and learning will never be the same.
Share this with my Google Classroom. But the world-changing promise of AI hasn't yet been delivered to our classrooms.
And that's why we built Merlin Origin, the AI assistant for teachers. Merlin Origin is the only AI solution that offers voice control of all of your educational technology that is also safe and secure enough for your classroom. Go to the Pythagorean Theorem tab. Take a screenshot.
What is the chemical structure of Buckminster fullerene?
Set a timer for 5 minutes.
With Merlin, teachers are untethered from their tech and free to focus on what matters most, their students.
It's revolutionary, but it doesn't stop there. Merlin also allows teachers to leverage the power of generative AI during active instruction.
Why do we call it the Pythagorean Theorem?
We call it the Pythagorean Theorem because it was discovered by the Greek mathematician Pythagoras.
In real time, Merlin delivers an answer, and that's not all.
We also get images, diagrams, videos that dive deeper into the subject and really bring the lesson to life.
Search my Google Drive for biology lesson. With Merlin Origin, teachers can better connect with students, and everyone can walk away inspired.
To learn how to bring Merlin Origin to your schools and to take advantage of the transformative power of artificial intelligence, visit merlin.org.
Hello? Thank you guys for spending a few minutes with me here. I hope you thought about the role that talking plays in classrooms and the need that we have as educators and as builders to be cognizant of the trade-offs that are definitely going to be here as we bring powerful new AI technologies into classrooms, and that we choose to create space for more and more human conversation in those classrooms. Thank you.